Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Hi, folks. Welcome back. And those of you that are new, welcome. Let me show you some clips here. I'm going to call this the Democratic Party Insurrection because, and this is a longer video than normal, so please bear with me because there's a lot of good stuff in here. The Democrats had their primary for president along with their Republican counterparts. And Donald Trump was against DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and a couple, three others. And he won the primary easily. Same goes for Biden. Now, his was fixed, of course, being the incumbent president. He was doing really poorly. And I believe it was Claiborne from South Carolina, a congressman, butted in for their primary there and really pushed them up and pushed them through. And then they made deals with the rest of the candidates. And they all dropped out and Biden just walked in. Now, that being said, Kamala Harris was one of those people, by the way. So was Buttigieg, who became transportation secretary, but that's another screw up for another day. This is probably the most ironic statement that come back to bite Biden in the ass. It's really amazing. And I'm going to show you what the Democrat plan was and how they're reacting to what didn't work on Trump. And it's very fascinating. Let's listen to Joe Biden.
There are an awful lot of damn fools in the Congress and the Senate and those who want to get there, but there's no way you can legislate against that.
Right. But you think in the long run that the American people are going to put up with their money being squandered on all sorts of wild political notions?
Now, listen to what Biden says here. Remember, it was 1974. I'll be 68 this November, and this is the same year I graduated from high school.
The question is, how long is the American public going to put up with a small group of men and organizations determining the political process by deciding who can run and who can't run?
Now, how about that? Isn't that something? Talk about irony. It's amazing to me. That was, let's see, 26 and 24 is 50 years ago. 50 years, a half a century. The same person. Let's listen to this some more.
Party that cries about how Donald Trump is a threat to democracy just forced out the candidate that their voters chose and nominated a candidate that no one voted for. The hypocrisy is immense in the Democratic Party.
And there he is, Joe Biden, giving his address to the American people, supposedly live, but it wasn't, saying he's dropping out. Never said why. Never said why. He was pushed out by the hierarchy of the Democrat Party. Now, my understanding, the scuttlebutt was he was really, really pissed. He was furious because for 3.5 years, the media, everybody in Washington with D in front of their name, all the liberals and progressives knew Joe Biden was getting really, really bad. And they couldn't do anything about it because he wouldn't leave. They wanted to pick a different candidate. Joe was like a placeholder. He was a sacrificial lamb. Not that I'm feeling sorry for the guy. He was a sacrificial lamb to get rid of Donald Trump. Now, in all fairness, Joe Biden has wanted to be president for almost a half a century. He ran for president, was it 3-4 times? And this time he got to the Oval Office. So he got what he wanted. His dream was to be president of the United States, so he got it. And the Democrats and the progressives, the Obamas, the Clintons, all the rest, wanted Trump gone. So it was a win-win deal. But Joe wouldn't leave. And we could tell physically and mentally he was deteriorating. Now, who in the world that's on Biden's staff would allow him to do that debate, so-called debate, with former President Trump on CNN? It just sunk him. And everybody went, oh, my word. We didn't know Biden was that bad. Even the people on MSNBC, CNN, Joe Scarborough just the week before said, I've never seen the guy sharper. And my family has known him for 50 years. Never seen the guy more lucid than he is right now. And all the rest. It was a lie. They were all covering up. Let's listen on. And here he is in 2020, receiving the nomination for President of the United States. Now, was he nearly as bad as he is now? No, but you could tell. He was starting to lose it little by little, step by step. And people that knew him best, including his wife here on stage, knew better than anyone, even his doctor. Of course, she's married to him. Now, you're going to have AOC here after Biden was pushed out because they dried up his money. You can't run for president. You're not running for a school board seat or city council. I used to be a city councilman for 8 years in the 2000s. You don't need much money for that. But for president, you need a lot of money. And they dried it up. So he had to quit. He couldn't say in his supposed, I'll call it his farewell address, I got effed over by the Obamas and the Clintons in the hierarchy of the Democrat Party. Nancy Pelosi, too. I said, no, I'm staying. And they put the squeeze on me, and he never said a word. What he should have said was, I got screwed by my own people. They pushed me out. Now, let's see what AOC, not that I agree with her, but it's interesting her take on this.
Say what a lot of these folks aren't saying. I'm just going to say it. If you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave, that they will support Kamala, Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken. And I'm going to say that because if they're going to come out and say all their little things on background off the record, but they're not going to be fully honest, I'm going to be honest for them. I'm in these rooms. I see what they say in conversations. A lot of them are not just interested in removing the president. They are interested in removing the whole ticket.
Now, there you go. But she wants him removed for a different reason. You know, when I was a Democrat a million years ago, I left the party over a decade ago. I'm now Republican. We always thought of Joe Biden as just like the doofus uncle that everybody has. Any of you that are older, remember the show Petticoat Junction? He was Uncle Joe sitting on the porch. He doesn't do much, but he's there. And, you know, he's incredibly slow. He watched the Clarence Thomas hearings where he was judiciary chair. You'll see how dumb he really is. But he didn't do any real harm. At least we didn't know at the time. So now AOC wants the whole ticket replaced. But I'll bet you all those people she says say these things behind closed doors won't say a word publicly. None of them. Because they were all in on it. They were all in on protecting him from being exposed to the public for being physically and mentally incompetent. I'm not putting the guy down. It happens when you get older. And then the debate came. But meanwhile, we're going to go a little bit farther in here. The plan they had all along, then force Joe Biden out. Let's watch one more time. And this is so ironic. We got to watch it again.
There are an awful lot of damn fools in the Congress and the Senate and those who want to get there, but there's no way you can legislate against that.
Right. But you think in the long run that the American people are going to put up with their money being squandered on all sorts of wild political notions?
The question is, how long is the American public going to put up with a small group of men and organizations determining the political process by deciding who can run and who can't run?
But
now, here's the thing. He ran for president 3 times before this, I believe. He made a deal with the powers that be and the men in the organizations that he's complaining about 50 years ago in 1974. So they pushed him out. I'm showing this picture here of him walking away. It's truly amazing. It really is what's coming around. Now I'm going to give you the Democrat plan, what they wanted to happen and didn't get. Short little history thing here. This is 1968 Chicago. And the Democrats, I believe it's middle of August, are going to have their convention in Chicago. Now, they're going to have a virtual one, supposedly, that has the delegates vote for Kamala Harris. And they say it's because Ohio and some other states has to be done before a certain deadline. That's a lie. Ohio and the other states waived it so they can get on the ballot, just to be fair. So that's a lie. She went around, as Elon Musk said, these are the people that are supposing saving democracy from Donald Trump. Donald Trump's going to wreck it. Meanwhile, millions of people voted in multiple primaries around the country for the Democratic nominee. Doesn't matter what they thought. Kamala Harris didn't get one vote. In fact, when she ran for president in 2020, she did not get one delegate, literally not one. That's why she withdrew before the California primary, because that's her home state, and she had internal polling that shows she was going to get her ass handed to her, so she withdrew. It's just amazing to me. And they also want RFK gone. But I digress. Here's some pictures here of, and I remember watching these. I really do. I remember I was a political junkie even back then. This is 1968, right? Getting the height of the Vietnam War. Protests were all over the place. Here we are here, being confronted by National Guard. All kinds of craziness. Huge riots, huge protests that sunk the Democrats. That's the year, by the way, that Richard Nixon won. And there's another photo here with their guns up, their rifles up. It was a very tumultuous time. Very, very bad. So here we are. Again, I'll show the picture of Joe Biden giving his speech while he's leaving, and never said why and never told the truth. Now, here comes the part the Democrats plan all along. I think at the very beginning in 2020, when Trump was announced as the loser, they never thought in their wildest dreams that Trump would run again. There's a lot of people that did, and they probably figured, you know what? He's put up with so much crap to his family and his businesses. His net worth went down by over $1 billion. Who needs this crap? I'm out of here. But he didn't, because he's not that type personality. He thinks he got screwed over. And I can't go into those details because this website won't allow it. So they decided to, let's use lawfare to get him. Let's get lawfare. So here he is in New York during the so-called trial for misrepresenting his wealth to lenders. Even though the lender testified in court, it was fine. In fact, we'd loan him money again if he had a chance. They didn't care. They wanted to put him through the meat grinder, figuring it would stick, that Trump would fold. And then the January 6th committee came, even after the fact he was president. Since they had two Republicans on there, that made it bipartisan. Bullshit. They both hated Trump's guts. One got voted out of Congress in the primary, Cheney, and the other one, I forget his name was. He was a Congress member, a Republican from Illinois, and his reward for turning against his own president and lying was they lined out his district. They gerrymandered so bad he couldn't win, so he dropped out. And then you have Bobby Thompson, who was the chair of that committee, saying just 2 or 3 weeks before the Trump attempted assassination, since he's a convicted felon now, let's take away his Secret Service protection. You see what's lining up here? They couldn't get him with lawfare. Now, am I saying that Bobby Thompson and other Democrats were responsible for the assassination attempt? No. But they fed the ground. He's a well, I'll say German chancellor, because the algorithm will pick up this word. He's the evil German chancellor from the 1930s. He's going to destroy democracy. He's going to put you all in camps, and on and on and on and on. And there's always that 0.5% of nut bars that hear this continuously. Then they impeached him twice, if you recall, before he got out of office. And they knew, of course, that he was never going to be convicted. Impeachment is kind of like a grand jury indicting you, and the actual jury trial goes to the Senate. And they all knew. It was a death by 1,000 cuts. We'll start here, and then we'll hammer him with lawfare. You know, they call him a clear and present danger. I will have to say, in all fairness, of course, I wasn't around when Johnson was impeached and found innocent by one vote. I think both impeachments for Trump were a misuse of the Constitution. There's no question. And to be fair, I think Bill Clinton's impeachment was a misuse of the Constitution that the Republicans started. And if you dig a little bit deeper, for Andrew Johnson, who was the first president to be impeached and found innocent in the Senate, he might not have been the greatest president in the world. He might have sucked. He might have helped some of his buddies out here and there. But none of that was impeachable. That was all about politics as well. Someday I'll do a story on that. The John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson fiasco. Very interesting. But let's move on. Like I said, impeachment trial started in February of 2021. And then they say, you know what? We got impeachments twice. We've been going back and forth on these documents things. He's got illegal documents and classified. Well, my understanding is the President of the United States is the only person in the federal government by himself that can declassify documents or information, whether it be audio, video, paper documents, the works. Unlike Joe Biden, who was in the Senate for 40-something years, 40 years, had tons of documents, and the difference was he was vice president, didn't have the authority. Trump said, I have the authority to declassify all of this. But they raided his house in Mar-a-Lago. They waited till he was gone, because his schedule is well known to everybody. They waited till he was gone, and they raided his house, and they put out false information on pictures about files from him and everything else. They even went through his wife's underwear drawer. You got to be kidding me, right? It's amazing to me. To give you a little how bad these people are, there's a standard rule with the FBI and the DOJ. You do not raid a high-profile politician or elected official 60 days before a November election. That's a standard rule they have. It's not a law, it's a rule. Guess when they raided Mar-a-Lago? On the 61st day. Isn't that interesting? So they figured, we got him now. Well, that whole thing's been dismissed because of presidential immunity that the Supreme Court ruled on, and now they want to change the court. They want to put term limits in and expand the court. That's the mistake the founders made. They should have put the number of justices on the Supreme Court at 9 and put it in writing. And there it is, the most famous mugshot in the history of the world. There's some famous people with mugshots. You get movie stars and such. There's even a mugshot of Stalin. But here he is, and he's pissed. And he raised a crap load. I don't know how many millions off of this picture. I see it on T-shirts and hats all the time. He says, I'm looking at the camera, and I'm saying, F you. And that's why a lot of people like him. Just like when he was almost assassinated and was clipped in his ear by a bullet, he put his fist up, fight, fight, fight. They like his style. They like the alpha male persona, especially if you're president of the United States or want to be again. And here we are. Here's the actual vote. I believe it's the first impeachment vote. You need 216 to impeach. This is the part that really burned my ass. If you look on the Republicans, there's 30 that didn't vote. 30. It wouldn't have mattered anyway because they had 219 of the ones that did vote, so they had enough by 3 and 12 Democrats not voting. So that means they were either out of town or they were just too cowardly to show up for the vote. So the impeachment went through, knowing it wouldn't matter. He would never be convicted. It was part of their plan to slowly but surely give him a death by 1,000 cuts. Let's watch on. Now, they were saying the other day they're not sure if the bullet, it was a bullet that passed through his ear. Here's a picture of extremely slow motion, high frame rate. That's the bullet whizzing by. There's no fragments. And finally, the FBI admitted after the FBI director, who Trump approved and gave him his job, see, we weren't sure if it was shrapnel because this happened. Am I saying that the deep state was involved with this gunman? I don't know. I'm not saying no, and I'm not saying yes. I simply don't know. There isn't enough facts. But I saw in a news report the other day, the Secret Service and the FBI hosed off the roof on that building. Things that make you go, Well, they finally admitted, even though their director said they're not sure, that it was a bullet that struck his ear. And sadly, a firefighter died protecting his wife and daughter, and 2 other people were hit, and they were serious, but they come around, they're going to make it, thank God. So this screwed up their plan even more. We'll just say, for the sake of argument, the deep state did not on purpose do things so that somebody would take a shot at former President Trump. We'll say that's true. I don't know if it is. We'll say this for the sake of argument that it's true. They had a chance to get rid of him again, and he lucked out. They're probably saying behind closed doors, Pelosi, Obama, and them, my God, how lucky can this guy be? We've thrown everything at him, and now this. And he's still standing tall. We got to get rid of Joe. We have to get rid of Joe. We wanted to get rid of Joe a long time ago, but he wouldn't leave. And we never thought Trump would run again, so it wouldn't last this long. So we have to get rid of Joe. Even though millions of people voted for him, we don't give a good damn what they think. We're getting rid of Trump to save democracy by ignoring democracy. Isn't that interesting? Now, this is one of the iconic pictures from that incident in Butler, Pennsylvania. I live in upstate New York, right above the PA border, right in the center, right below Syracuse, if anybody knows the answer, in Binghamton. It's not far. I had thought about going, but it was hotter than hell, and it was a couple hours drive, maybe a little bit longer. I said, the heck with that, watch it on TV instead. And there he is with his defiant fist, fight, 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 with blood running down the side of his face. It's another picture that'll be in history. The same picture I remember as a boy when John F. Kennedy was assassinated. His little boy, John Jr., who deceased, was in a little suit and coat, and his father's casket came by, and he looks like about 2-3 years old, and he saluted his father's casket. That's a famous, famous picture from history, and this will stand right up there with that. Oh, if you notice, they said the president falls at rally. This is a CNN article. He falls like he tripped on something, like Biden going up the steps. Amazing. Now, this is the actual incident as it was shown. It's not very long for those of you that haven't seen it. But those of you that have, I mean, it's obvious what happened. We can go into the why and how this person, this young kid, 20 years old, was allowed to get where he got. And how he pulled up with his bicycle with a rifle and got on top of a building less than 150 yards away, 130 yards, whatever it was, with an open shot to a former president who's running for president again.
Happened.
You see there in the picture on the left, that's when he stands up. He reaches for his right ear because the bullet went through it. Just less than a second before that, he was looking straight from the podium at the audience, the big guys. This one is behind him. I'll call it the peanut gallery, as we used to call it when we were kids. Looking at a chart with an immigration graph. If he had kept looking straight when that shot was wrong, he would have either got it in the side of his head or on his temple, and he would be gone. I think it was divine intervention. I'm not implying that Trump's a saint because God intervened. I'm not going to be arrogant enough to say I think like God or know what his reasoning is, but I do believe it was divine intervention. Let's watch.
Move his spear. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. We ready?
Okay, we are watching live at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where former President Trump was speaking.
Now you hear in the background, he said the shooter is down. The shooter is down by a Secret Service sniper. He was on the building, obviously. He was on top of when he fired at the former president and into the crowd. Like I said, killed one innocent bystander that threw himself on his wife and daughter, what real men do and real fathers. And 2 other males were hit pretty seriously, but they're going to recover.
On the stage, there has been some kind of disturbance that clearly sets law enforcement and Secret Service into motion, immediately jumping around the former president in a protective.
Now, if you were watching this live, you would think he got struck in the head when he came up and had blood on the side of his head. You would think the worst. And even the announcer here for Fox says, this doesn't look good.
Mode. The crowd has been screaming. They are standing by.
Now, see, it would look like he got struck. How badly, they don't know, because it looked like they're lifting him up. So if you watch this live, you thought for certain that former President Trump got struck with a bullet in the head.
You can hear some voices there saying, are we ready to go? Are we ready to go? We are looking at President Trump. This does not look good. I'm going to be honest with you. From what we can see right here, it looks like they are attempting to move him out, that he may have been injured.
Then, of course, in the front, there's a woman that's a good foot shorter than the president. They're putting their body in front of him, and that I'll give him a lot of credit for. That takes some serious guts to throw yourself in harm's way to protect somebody else, especially when they're firing. So I'll give him that. I'll give her that to a certain extent, because she doesn't know if she's going to get hit. There's no way she should be even trying to surround the president, because she's not even close to being tall enough.
He is holding up his arm.
And there's the picture as they're trying to cart him away to see how short the woman is. I'm not putting her down. I'm just telling you what the reality is. And then on CNN and MSNBC, just a few days later, because they can't let the American people have the phrase, Trump took a bullet for democracy. They can't allow that saying to exist. And then, of course, we had the head of the Secret Service. What a piece of unbelievable. She used to be security for PepsiCo. In fact, one congressman told her, why don't you go back to guarding Doritos, because PepsiCo owns Frito-Lay. That was pretty funny. And the powers that be, whether they're responsible for this or they had nothing to do with it, all the Democrats are saying, this guy is so lucky we can't believe it. Now, they're right in the middle of the mainstream media got permission just like a week, 10 days before this. Okay, start going after Joe Biden. Don't lie for him anymore. And they all acted like, I can't believe how President Biden has slipped so much mentally and physically. What happened? Well, 2 weeks before that, 3 weeks before that, they were saying how remarkable he is for his age. And all those things about dementia and physical problems is all misinformation. That as soon as they got the green light to tell the truth, to get him out of there. Amazing. It truly is. It's unbelievable. If someone put this in a movie, nobody would believe. And there's another iconic picture of them trying to help former President Trump down the stairs. Now, this is Mark Zuckerberg. Now, I think he said this to save his own ass, or at least cover it a little, because Facebook was responsible in a huge way. So was Twitter at the time, because it wasn't owned by Elon Musk. And the Democrats gave them instructions. Anything you have to do with the Hunter Biden laptop, take it off your websites. There was, after the 2020 election, there was some polls taken. And the question was, for Democrats that voted for Biden, if you had known that Hunter Biden laptop existed, would you have voted for Joe Biden? Almost 17% said no. That's almost 1 in 5. And he would have lost the election. So these guys censored information. It's a fact. From Twitter. So he's probably thinking, oh, Lord, they're going to get rid of Biden. Who knows what they're going to get? Looks like Trump might win. I better cover my own ass. But what he's saying is actually true. It's probably what he really thinks. And here's the interesting part. 6 weeks ago, 3 months ago, whatever, there's no way that Mark Zuckerberg would have said these things in public. Let's hear what he has to say. He says, I mean, on a personal note, it's
seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life. Well, as an American, it's like hard to not get kind of emotional about that spirit.
And there you have it. It's incredible to me. So they pressured Joe Biden. They threatened him for a few weeks, especially after the debate. God knows what their plan really was before the debate, maybe something similar. So if rather got to the point where Pelosi, mostly Clinton, Obama, all the big shots of the Democrat Party told Joe, all right, you don't want to leave? Okay, we'll fix you. They go, all the big donors. I mean, the people that gave lots of money to the Joe Biden PACs. Cut off his money. You can't run for president without money. It's just the way it is. You can't do it. So he finally caved in. He's mad as hell, you can tell. He's pissed when he gave this. It was only like 10, 11 minutes long. You'll find it on the internet somewhere, probably YouTube. He's pissed. But he still holds the line that Donald, he didn't say Trump's name. So now that he's out of the race, or having legal challenges and where the money goes from his campaign, and they pick Kamala Harris. Now, my understanding is the scuttlebutt is that Joe Biden was so pissed, he immediately endorsed Kamala Harris to be the candidate for president, knowing that Clinton, Obama, and all of them can't stand her. That was his way of saying, put the middle finger up and saying, F you to those people. And he's ticked. Does he know how sick he is? I don't know. Should he have ran again? Probably not. But they thought for certain that Trump wouldn't be able to go through the trials and tribulations, pardon the pun, and get through to the other side, become the nominee, and be ahead in the polls. There's no way they thought that 2-3 years ago. No way. So now they're stuck. They've painted themselves into a corner. Former President Trump got through that. And a lot of it just got thrown away. And then he almost dies in an assassination attempt. They turned up the heat on Biden. He finally caved. But his way of fighting back, he endorsed Kamala Harris against the wishes of the big shots in the Democrat Party. That's why that little video from 1997 is so ironic. It's about the men in the organizations that actually pick and choose which people to run. I find that so ironic, I can't believe it. I don't know if he remembers him saying that from 50 years ago. But of course, once it's on the internet, it never goes away. Let's continue. And there's Joe Biden. I used this picture on purpose of him just walking away with his head down. He did that several times. Now, you're going to get the reaction of Biden walking away. Now, here's the funny part. These are the same people. This is NBC. There's MSNBC and CNN are the three worst, but NBC, ABC, and CBS, they're no better. Oh, they're all shocked. It's like that scene in Casablanca where the colonel comes into the gambling den and goes, I'm shocked there's gambling going on here. Just shocked. Yeah, okay. They all knew he was like that. They all knew. So now they're going to give him praise. He walked away from the presidency, just like George Washington. He is a national hero that he gave up being president again for the sake of the country. And that orange man tried to pull an insurrection. He wouldn't leave after he was voted out legally. It's incredible to me. Let's listen on.
For the history books, this is the type of speech that will be replayed for decades to come.
This moment puts him, with a bunch of American greats, the sort of George Washington.
This was selfless. This was selfless on a level, I think, that's important in a way that we talk about George Washington being.
This is Joy Reid. One that I think she has mental problems. I call her Joyless Reed. She just mentioned George Washington as a shining example. She is a race bait grifter. Worse than that. Hey, Joy, newsflash. George Washington was a slaveholder. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter anymore. Even though when they pulled down statues, you thought it was fine. But now, all of a sudden, Joe Biden is passing the torch. Just like George Washington after 2 terms, even though he could have stayed, because at the time there was no term limits on president. And this is so amazing. He is such a good man that would sacrifice something so important for the sake of the country. They're so full of shit, I can't even tell you.
Selfless and saying, I could keep doing this for me because I think I can.
That's the question, does character still matter?
Yeah, here's Van Jones, who's been covering for Biden for years. Knew how bad he was, and they all lied, all of them. I would have loved to hear some audio and private conversations. My God, President Biden's getting bad. Yeah, but we can't say anything on TV until we get the okay from the Bigshot Democrats to tell us it's okay.
Well, Dustin, I had somebody sitting in that chair, and he wouldn't give up power no matter what.
What do you mean he wouldn't give up power? He left. Biden got sworn in. Oh, the so-called insurrection. Trump wanted to take the government over and stay president. At least, you know, they either have mental illness or they're such terrible liars. Some of them are good, but most of them are terrible liars. And it's just amazing. You're going to see one from Chuck Schumer. I mean, talk about the way he acts. He talks to everybody like they're 5 years old because that's what they think people are. Question, Van. How many people in the January 6th riots were charged with insurrection? I'll give you a minute. I'll do the Jeopardy thing. Do, 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 do. The answer is 0. Why? Because it wasn't an insurrection.
Wouldn't give up power, let there be an insurrection, wouldn't get out of that chair. Even when the people voted for you to get out of the chair, he wouldn't get out of the chair. And you got somebody who's sitting in that same chair showing that character does matter.
Character does matter. He didn't want to go. And frankly, I don't blame him. I'll tell you the truth. If he didn't have mental and physical problems because of his age and dementia or whatever it is, it might not have the exact diagnosis, but if he didn't have that, I would have defended him, saying he got screwed by his own people.
Gratitude is the word for so many people in this country pointing to Joe Biden now and calling him a patriot.
Gratitude and calling Joe Biden a patriot now. These people are so full of crap, it's amazing. But that's not the crazy part. The scary part is that millions, tens of millions believe it. Biden gave up the presidency for the sake of the country, and Donald Trump didn't. Even after he got almost assassinated, after he almost got a bullet in the head. And here's my senator, and I'm not saying that with any pride, talking about how Kamala Harris now is now going to get the nomination, even though not one single person voted for her in the primary in 2024. Not one. Not one. I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to tell Biden, you have to resign so we can swear her in as president? Then you say to her, listen, we're not going to support you if you run for president. We'll let you be president for a couple months. That way you can say you were the first female president. You were the first non-white female president. You'll go down in history. 100 years from now, they'll be reading about you in books and in history class. Blah, 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 blah. Will she take that? I don't know. Would you? They don't know what to do. When Biden immediately endorsed her, it caught the other Democrats off guard. Now I want you to listen to this mental pygmy. The highest elected individual in the federal government that's Jewish, bad-mouthing Netanyahu and the Israelis, now he's there to go rah, rah, rah for the Kamala Harris. Look how fake this is. Watch this guy.
President Biden's selfless decision has given the Democratic Party...
I like that right arm going, like moving like... he never went to public speaking class, apparently.
...the opportunity to unite behind a new nominee, and boy, oh boy, are we enthusiastic. When I spoke with her Sunday, She said she wanted the opportunity to win the nomination on her own and to do so from the grassroots up.
From the grassroots up. That means the people that voted in primaries are eligible to vote in primaries. Some are open primaries, some are closed, whatever it is per state. That's from the ground up, not from the top down. Well, they got rid of Joe Biden from the top down, and then he turned around and endorsed Kamala, and then she turned around and is trying to get the nomination from the top down. They don't give a good damn about what the average Democrat thinks or person that was eligible to vote in the primaries they had most of the year in 2024. They could care less. And these are the same mental pygmies and morons that think that they're saving democracy when it is thrown away at their convenience.
Not top down. She would work to earn the support of our party, and boy, has she done so in quick order.
You know, he's a way better public speaker than that. Even he can't drum up the fake sincerity. Oh boy, and are we happy? And his right arm is like pumping. I've seen him give lots of speeches. Way better than this. Even he doesn't like it, and you can tell.
So now that the process is played out, from the grassroots bottom up, we are here today to throw our support behind Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm clapping. You don't have to.
Incredible. And people are buying this bullshit. They're buying it. Incredible. I don't even think it's about we don't want Biden or Kamala Harris. We just don't want Trump. I think it's past that even. Joe Biden's fine, physically and mentally. Never seen him sharper, and my family's known him 50 years, Joe Scarborough says. He falls on steps all the time. He misquotes things terribly. I mean, mumble and fumble, and they say, well, that's the stutter he had when he was a child. You got to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. You know, I used to say these people suck so bad, but you know what? There's millions that believe them, so why wouldn't they continue to act like this? It works. Well, we'll see if it works this time.
The question is, how long is the American public going to put up with a small group of men and organizations determining the political process by deciding who can run and who can't run? There are an awful lot of damn fools in the Congress and the Senate and those who want to get there, but there's no way you can legislate against that.
Right.
So there you have it. The new George Washington that selfishly gave up the Oval Office, the leader of the free world for all intents and purposes. I gave it up for you. Is so much bullshit I can't even tell you. So he appoints Kamala, or endorses her, I should say. I shouldn't say appoint. And now they might have a fight on the floor in August before they have their so-called convention, virtual one online. But they're going to have a real floor vote with real people there and thousands of protesters. I mean, this like, how's that Yogi Berra saying go? This is like deja vu all over again. You're going to have thousands of protesters. This way it's not going to be the Vietnam War. It's going to be the Israeli-Hamas war. But it comes out the same. And I do have to say, today, these same individuals are going to protest are much more organized. And let's see how many of them get arrested. And let's see how many of them, if they are arrested, won't pay a fine, just walk away and not go to jail. Time will tell. I pray to God nobody gets hurt seriously or dies. But who knows with these lunatics? And the Democrats did it all. They thought Trump wouldn't come back, and he did. Now they're screwed. 2 impeachments and all these legal things hanging over his head. He kept going, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do. So they had to keep lying about Biden until they had another plan. And then Trump was almost assassinated. And they said, all right, enough's enough. Gave the okay for the media to pressure Joe Biden into walking away, cut off his money for his campaign. And Joe Biden said, all right, screw you. I'm pointing Kamala Harris. And here we are. If this was a movie, it would get like a rating out of 10 of like 3.5, but it's reality. Who knows what the hell's going to happen next? Pray that it works out. Until next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.